everybody, and welcome to our first ever movie review. Hold on, I have got feedback in my ear. There we go. So let me turn off everything behind the scenes here. All right. So tonight I have joining me as always, Tony, my co-host.
What's up? What's up?
Slid over to his left. I had him nice and centered on the screen, and he slid over. So move to your right a little bit, Tony.
My right or your right or your right?
Your right.
Towards the window. Towards the window.
There you go. That's it. All right. And then also Dan Patriss from Geek All Stars. Dan, hi. Welcome. Hadn't talked to you in a while.
I know. I missed you guys. I hope good. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Happy holidays.
That's exactly right. And why are we doing this? Because if you've listened to our podcast for the past few years, you know that every April, May, we always do a big summer movie review. And we get Chris Kirkman, who was supposed to join us tonight, but he was feeling under the weather. So, Chris, we hope you get to feeling better. And hold on, bit of an echo on non-Marty. Tony, say something.
Tony, say something.
Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. Hopefully not me.
Tony, say something. Whoa, there's something.
There's something there. Okay, that's just flipping wonderful. All right, so now I'll need to figure this out real quick. So let me do this. Tony, say something again.
Tony, say something again.
Dan, you say something.
Hello, Marty and Tony. How are you?
Did that fix it by chance? And y'all can let me know. All right, so we do a quick. Thank you. I mean, yes, fixed to the echo, or yes, there's still an echo. Dead air. Better now. Fantastic. Thank you. So this is the first time I'm streaming on 2 different platforms. You watch us on YouTube, watch us on Twitch. So we'll kind of go from there. So anyway, every year we do a big summer movie review called Screening, Streaming, or Steaming. However, because basically all theaters were closed this summer, we didn't get a chance to do that. But guys, over the weekend, we all saw Wonder Woman 1984, and probably if we'd had our regular review, this probably would have been the bigger movies that we would have talked about, correct?
Oh, yeah. Easily one of the biggest that we would have talked about, probably one of the first round draft picks.
Yeah, I think so, because it originally, it got moved around 100 times, but originally I think it was slated to come out in June or July. So it definitely would have been on our list.
And now Tony's opening up popcorn.
Well, I'm getting in the theme of it.
That's right. He's a movie.
Fair. Okay.
Hey, I'll just cut to the chase. This is probably a better viewing than what I watched the other night.
Oh, okay. So hold on. Before we get into it.
Well, that didn't take long.
And by the way, fireworks may fly tonight, but I want everybody to know that we're all good friends here. We totally respect each other. Even though we may disagree on stuff, it doesn't matter. These are our opinions. If you didn't like the movie, that's fine. If you love the movie, that's fine too. We're just getting together to talk because we haven't talked in forever. And our movie episode is always one of our most fun to have. And I thought it would be fun to at least talk about one of the movies that we would have mentioned. And Tony, I think you're right. This movie probably would have been drafted because at the end of every episode, we drafted which movies we think are going to do the best. For sure, this would have gone round 1 easily.
Oh, easily. Yeah, I can't even remember what would have been competing with it because the summer movies are distance past to us. But for me, Dan, Marty, my wife and I always went on Tuesday nights, $5 movies. And that is something I really, really have missed this year in 2020. Gaming night, yes, but movie night, oh, I so miss that. Missed our usual annual discussion of movie and our just different way of viewing movies where you and Dan and Chris can talk about the directors and all. And I just look for fun. So, yeah.
Wait, you looked for fun and you didn't like Wonder Woman? So are you sure you
We'll talk about that. You're already putting words into my mouth, Dan.
Okay. Oh, okay. No, I agree with you 100% that I miss going to the theater this year because it's one of the most fun things that I love to do in the summer is go out. I don't get out as much during the rest of the year, but going out with, my wife and my daughter for the most part to watch a lot of the geeky movies is what I really look forward to, and it kind of stinks. So, although I mean, what they're doing now, I mean, it's obviously just a fix, but putting so many movies streaming first and everything, I mean, it could be a wave of the future. I kind of hope not, because there's nothing like seeing something on a whatever it is, 60-foot screen.
And we could have all gone to Wonder Woman in the theater if our significant others would chose to, or you could have. It's whatever you want. And I mean, if all means, if you feel comfortable, please go support the theaters if there's one playing it in your area.
I did. I went and saw Monster Hunter.
We
could talk about that. We could talk about that later, as I had a better time with Monster Hunter than I had Wonder Woman 84. Okay. So let's.
I had a feeling I was going to get ambushed on this show. I knew it was coming.
Well, here's the thing. That's where I wish Chris could have made it, because Chris actually said he really enjoyed the movie. So I thought, okay, cool. This would be a very balanced. No, we're not going to dogpile or anything. So let me just ask you guys something. We're big, huge superhero fans. We probably all read comics growing up. So just out of curiosity, so everybody can get a baseline who's watching here. When it comes to comics and characters, who's your favorite? Are you more Marvel or are you more DC? I'm more DC. Tony?
I'm Marvel, Spider-Man.
Okay. And Dan?
I am definitely more DC, but I do appreciate, as far as comics goes, I do appreciate both of them, but I definitely lean more DC. It doesn't mean I hate Marvel, but I'm not a Marvel hater, but I'm definitely a huge DC fanboy, obviously.
Yep. And I am too, which is why I want the DC movies to be absolutely superb. So maybe I'm just a tad more critical. So we know that the Marvel movies, the MCU, has done amazingly well, from Iron Man all the way through Infinity War. They did a great job with that. Not that everyone was amazing, but there are a lot of good movies in those 22 movies that they made. Let's set that aside for a second. I just want to focus on the DC movies, starting with Superman, Man of Steel, which kind of kicks off the current DCU, right? So we have, Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, JLA, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, etc. Just out of curiosity, which of those of the DCU movies were your favorite, and which was your least favorite? Tony?
No, let's go to Dan, because you just...
Okay.
Man of Steel starts. You're gonna have to go through them all, because obviously I was thinking all the way back to the Batman series.
Well,
anyway,
and it's hard. It's only because they're separated canonically, but it's hard to separate those because they're so good. Those three movies.
Yeah, but
which three?
The Christopher Nolan movies. But that's why I set them aside, because honestly, the Man of Steel kind of kicked off the current run of the DCU. They were kind of trying to make everything gel with Batman versus Superman, and then bringing them back for JLA, etc. So all those characters and actors are together on the screen, whereas Christopher Nolan's Batman was not. That's why I started it there.
Okay.
Right.
So Dan, with that, from Man of Steel on, what's your favorite and what's your least favorite?
So I think the biggest problem with DC, and I'm going to keep this brief, the biggest problem with DC is almost every one of these movies has had a fatal writing flaw. And, like Man of Steel, if you stop it right before the Zod Superman fight, I mean, it's an absolutely fantastic movie. I mean, think about the first half of that movie, how great that movie really is. And then you talk about Dawn of Justice, Superman versus Batman, or Batman v Superman. Like, it never, like, the majority of that movie was just terrible. Although if you look at what they did in the whole scheme of things, it's not all that bad. But the last half of it is actually a little bit better, when they just, all it is just bang bang fighting. But I think my favorite, it's really close, because I absolutely love Justice League. I mean, obviously Wonder Woman is great. I absolutely love Justice League. I just love team ups. I thought it was really good. But Shazam, man, Shazam was fantastic. It's hard to choose between kind of those three movies, but I think if I'm going to sit down and watch a movie, I'll probably watch Justice League again.
So which is your least favorite?
Probably Batman. Actually, Suicide Squad or Batman v Superman, because Suicide Squad just needed to just cut out Joker, and then it's not as bad of a movie. But yeah, it's okay. I want to say probably Batman versus Superman is probably my least favorite. It's just not as many to go on. I don't think I'm even trying to, like Marty, I mean, like Tony, trying to think of how many. It's hard to I think those are kind of the main ones that we're talking about. But yeah, I think it's probably Batman vs Superman is probably my least favorite.
All right, Tony.
So I'm trying to keep this straight in my mind, because to me they're just all movies. And from the like the Joker, was that part of this?
I don't know.
He's not considered. I wouldn't say he was considered the DCEU.
Nope. I would agree. I would not, because if we did, it would be, that would be my number one. But I don't think he's part of that DCU with Jeff Johns and those guys kind of controlling that portion of the theater.
Oh, I completely forgot about Aquaman and Birds of Prey. Both
Yes,
of them
Aquaman.
are,
Yes, those two also.
Both of them are actually good too.
So my hope, rested beginning, and I still think it's probably one of my favorite, is Wonder Woman, the original. I love that movie. I enjoyed that movie. It was what I expected of Wonder Woman. Okay, plain and simple. Loved it. Chris Pine. Other than Star Trek, love Chris Pine. And when I say that, I like seeing him as Captain Kirk. Mm-hmm. But my least favorite, because I had so many expectations, was and just because it's one of my favorite DC heroes, was Aquaman. I wanted so much for that movie to be a success, and I was so jazzed to see the whole Aquaman outfit and everything, but it just let me down. And I don't remember why. I came out there saying, well, other than the cool outfit at the end, something just wasn't right there. Mm-hmm. But that was me. Yeah.
So for me, by far, Wonder Woman is my first one is my number one easily. I was actually critical of Gal Gadot when she was cast. I thought, man, I don't know if she has the physique and look of Wonder Woman. Totally wrong. She's Wonder Woman, 100%. Love her as Wonder Woman. So I love that movie. And Dan, like you, I'm probably torn between Suicide Squad and Batman versus Superman. But I'm probably going to have to say my least favorite is Batman versus Superman because of what that movie could have been and should have been. And I just don't think it achieved it. And Tony, I actually did like Aquaman. I thought Aquaman, Dan, you say, why can't you guys just go in a movie and enjoy a fun movie? To me, Aquaman was a fun movie. There were issues with it, but I had fun with it. Shazam was a fun movie.
A great Christmas movie too. Shazam is a Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm. 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 I love Shazam. That's the one with Chuck, right?
Yes. Zachary Levi. That's right.
And that's a good point about things just being fun. I think that's what they're just going for. I mean, Birds of Prey was just a really fun movie. Shazam, I think even Aquaman, he just has a way about him, Aquamoa. He just has a way about him that just keeps everything fun. James Wan is the director. He just ratcheted up a bit. So I think I'm surprised, Tony, that you didn't like that one at all.
I think it may have been the big battle at the end.
That was a little grandiose, I think.
Yeah, like you pointed out in the Batman versus Superman, was it that you said that at the end, up to that point, or whichever movie, it was that big battle at the end of the various races trying. Just something about it did not.
Right, all the Atlantis factions,
coming together. I was not. I don't know. I mean, I loved it up to that point, and then all of a sudden it's kind of like loved it up to that point, okay.
I just wonder who thinks that the death of Superman would be a good point in a movie? Like, who wants to leave a movie with Superman dying? Like, who in the world is sitting in a room going, oh, that's a great idea. We got to do that. And let's wait another 2 years before we put the next one out.
Because everybody knows he's not dead. He's coming back. But number one, and we got to get to while we're here. So I'll just say my issues with the same thing with you, Dan. The way they handled Doomsday, which is one of the best stories of all time for Superman, was horribly handled. And I couldn't take that Lex Luthor. I couldn't take him. I think that portrayal of Lex Luthor was just not for me.
So real quick, did I ever tell you how you fix his portrayal of Lex Luthor?
How?
Very easily, very quickly. All you do is at the end, when they're kind of panning around his house, you pan to a picture of, a bald, who's the bad guy in Shawshank? Byron Hadley, the prison guard. He was Mr. Krabs. He's a real scary guy.
Yeah, I cannot think of his name. Yeah, I know who you're talking about though.
But anyway, you pan to him bald, and you show that the Lex Luthor you're thinking of is his dad. And then that fixes the whole thing because you have a little more, you have a little more leeway with the character, I think, in that.
So Todd, who's watching, said most DCEU movies have disappointing final battles. That's actually a good point. A lot of my biggest issue with Wonder Woman 1 was actually the final battle with Ares.
Yeah.
Right. It's Clancy Brown is who it is.
Yep. Okay. All right, so guys, here we go. Wonder Woman 1984. Now, this is supposed to come out in theaters over the summer. However, they released it not only in theaters, but for the first time ever, also released it on HBO Max to stream at the exact same time. That's a future topic to where, are we going to see this happen more in theaters? But here we go. So let's just jump to the movie. And if you're, it sounds like right off the bat, Dan, you may have enjoyed it more than Tony and I, but let's just start chronologically, okay? So the movie opens up, and the opening scene is basically Diana as a little girl on, I always say this name wrong, Dan, Themyscira?
Themyscira, yeah.
Themyscira, for the island of Themyscira, where they're having this competition, and there's a race. Oh, I forgot to say something. This is spoilers, 100% spoilers. If you have not seen this movie, stop right now because we're going to spoil the mess out of this thing. So, whew,
or if you
okay.
have a memory like me, keep watching. You won't.
Yeah, that's true. What I just said is not a spoiler because it was shown in the trailers that there's Diana in a race. So that's not spoilers at all. Thank you for putting that in the chat, Dan. Okay,
no problem.
So she has this race. She ends up cheating, and basically to keep her from winning, Robin Wright grabs her and says, "No, you know that you're lying by cheating, and truth will win out." On that. I'm just going to go ahead and say right now, I think that entire scene, after seeing the movie, could have been totally cut out. I think you could have saved 10 minutes.
It could have been shorter.
Yep.
It could have been shorter for sure, but I do like the precedence that it's kind of, showing that even at a young age, how impressive an athlete she was, and that, you can't take it's pretty much her saying, can't take shortcuts in life.
Yep. I mean, it did set up, I guess, eventually in the movie, but I remember at the very end, my entire family was like, what was the whole purpose of the beginning? And then we kind of pieced what you did together, Dan. It's like, well, she was trying to cheat life, and you can't necessarily do that when it comes to what we'll talk about later on. But anyway,
right.
So right to that, we cut to, it's 1984, and there's a mall scene, and you basically get your first action scene of the movie. And to be honest with you, when I saw basically Wonder Woman jumping in to just basically thwart some common robbers with a cute way. It was very 80-ish. And I thought, okay, this is going to be a campy movie. But for some reason, the camp kind of stopped for me after that.
Well, that was a great scene because it's just that typical, every sequel, not so much in the first movies, because a lot of times with the origin movies, you've got to set up like who somebody is, see that you like them. In the second movie of almost every franchise, you have to see, oh, we still really like them. They know what they're doing. They're really good at what they're doing. I mean, take like Guardians 2. The whole first scene is just absolutely ridiculous and campy and funny. You got Groot running around, you got all that stuff. So that's kind of a very sequel-y thing to have something fun to say, oh, hey, look, we know who Wonder Woman is. And she's kicking butt. She's cool. She's trying to not be seen by anybody, and she's protecting people first. And I would have liked them to show that she knew more of what they were going for, rather than seeming like it was just kind of a mistake that she happened to stumble upon it being more important, because you could tell that she knew there was antiquities back there and there was more important stuff than that. And if they would have proven or shown that she knew that it was more important, then I think it hits home a little better, because it just shows that, like you said, it did have that little bit of, oh wow, just a random robbery. But I was fine with the cheekiness of it.
Wait a minute, no, she had no clue what was back there. Okay,
Right.
Okay. I
was saying they should have made it where she knew.
Yeah, but wouldn't she have, being Wonder Woman, wouldn't she have stopped it if she knew? Because that's illegal stuff. Just saying.
Well, I think what Dan was saying was that basically a lot of what happened in that back room, is that where the wishing stone was?
Yes.
Okay. So if Wonder Woman would have been tipped off that she was trying to break this big crime thing that was going on, I think Dan said I could have appreciated that scene more, as opposed to her just happening along a mall when what looks like a common jewelry thief, stumbles in and steals something, and she just happens to be there.
Well, the guys knew what was back there. They knew there was expensive stuff back there. So she was just thwarting something that just happened to be more than what she realized.
Hear the screams. She heard the screams. She heard what was going on. Okay. So that's why she shows up. I mean, maybe she has super hearing like Superman. I don't know.
Well, she does, but yes. But
I do have a question though. So right before she starts fighting, she knocks out all the security cameras. And are we to assume that she's kind of been in hiding for all this time? She doesn't want to be seen.
I think she's more or less. So there's two thoughts to this, like that you're trying to figure out through all this. Like she was hurt so much after losing somebody close to her for doing the right thing, coming out and trying to save humanity, that it took her so long to get over that maybe here and there she's just been kind of like, almost what was it, Smallville, where it was the red streak or whatever. Maybe she's just been doing little acts and keeping it secret. But
so you're saying it took her 64 years to get over Steve?
Yeah, I mean, true love.
Okay. Hey, and she's got infinite time.
Yeah, she's immortal.
That's right. She's God.
Yep.
And so this is, I will say I had so much high hopes for this movie because I loved the first one. I've already stated this. And I was like, oh, cool. That's, 84 dressing, members only. Hey, I know I can really relate to this.
Jazzercise.
I'm like, okay, that would have never flown the PC. I'm like, that's the first thing that enters my mind. And they were watching The Old Men in the Mall. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. But I got lost in timelines because of all the other movies. Where is she in 84? Oh, wait, in this movie, Wonder Woman knows how to, quote, fly. In this other superhero movie, this one, maybe she doesn't. What's the lasso doing? What has she been doing? And I started questioning the timeline and trying to stitch it all together where this fits. I've seen too many movies.
So timeline, this is pretty straightforward. Wonder Woman 1 was World War I. Right. This was 84. Everything else is current time.
And I got to remind myself of that. But does she not know how to do all these things?
Does she fly in the current movies?
Well, she flies in the comics. She's always been able to kind of fly, but I think this was their way of explaining it a little more. Same thing with like the invisible jet. Like, I feel like they went out of their way to explain a lot of the things that we don't necessarily, that we take for granted in either comics or other things that, they just went out of their way to explain too much sometimes, a little bit in there. I was fine with it, but it just took up time.
Well, I couldn't remember. Number one, let's put a pin in the invisible jet thing. We'll come back to that. I just couldn't remember if in the Justice League movies or any of the ones she's in current time, if she flew. I think so. Did she fly? I couldn't remember.
Well,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, she does this whole leap thing. She does that a couple of times, I think, either at the beginning of Justice League or at the end of Justice League. She definitely kind of does it at the end of Wonder Woman 1, where she leaps off of that statue, and you can kind of tell it's more of a leap than a fly. Kind of even what Superman originally did in the comics was more of a leap than a fly. But I mean, I don't know if I'm trying to remember if even in Justice League they show much of that of her, quote unquote, truly flying. But she definitely has that.
Quick, Deadpool, superhero landing.
Right. Dude, every time I see a movie and somebody does it, I think of that scene. It's like tapping on the shoulder, superhero landing. So funny.
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing that I want to stress to you, and now, Tony, I don't know how much of comics as a whole, and this is something this is where my boy Chris would have kind of come in and helped me out with this a little bit. You got to remember that magic in different universes is like different realms of powers. There's, you have your aliens, kind of the metahumans, the mutants. There's also the magical realm and demigods. So like Wonder Woman comes into play in that magic realm where things are completely different in her scope of superheroes. So that's why the villains and the heroes, that's what makes her so powerful and almost Superman's equal, because she kind of derives it. It's more of a magical in nature, and that's kind of one of his even weaknesses. So you gotta look at a lot of things. Gotta keep that in mind a lot when you're watching this. And they try, I think, to get that point across a little bit, but I mean, maybe they didn't do it.
My simple mind, and she's a god.
Right. Yeah.
Plain and simple. That's all she is. So anything she can do, I can explain that away.
Yeah, she's the daughter of a god, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, and herself, she's basically like she's Thor. She's like a DC Thor.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. And you talk about the magic lasso and stuff. And I know a lot of people have been hating on the lasso. To be honest with you, during this movie, to me, the lasso was too much of a crutch for too many things, and it just kind of got ridiculous. I know it's magic, and when you put magic in there, it can be infinitely long, infinitely strong, and grab onto lightning. But still. I mean, I missed, so I watched a little bit of Wonder Woman 1 before we watched this. I missed the sword and the shield. Man, I just thought it was really cool. She's using standard weapons, and it seems like it was just always the lasso this time. But, you know.
Well, it's kind of hard to hide a shield and sword in 1984.
I get that. I understand that. And in the current rendition,
I guess it's not as hard to hide it in 1918, but but I don't know. See, the thing about the whole lasso thing, I try to put everything into what people have accepted out of movies in the past. I put this out on Twitter. A year ago, we accepted that 5 pebbles from some different corners of the universe could wipe out half of the entire world, universe population. Nobody bats an eye. A stone can do whatever the heck the writers needed to do, but God forbid we try to explain what a lasso can do and then use that later in a story, and that's too much.
Well, here's the thing.
I had no problem with the lasso. No problem.
They never explained the lasso. At least with the Infinity Stones, they took time to explain, here's how these things were created and here's how they're used. They never really did that with the lasso, though. If they
make a big point of showing the truth that it shows. So that was the whole end scene, was the whole truth of that.
Well, yes, but grabbing onto lightning and basically just flipping it out there and grabbing onto planes and stuff like that. Come on.
I don't know. I mean, what else does Thor's hammer have? What else has that done? I mean, the guy wields it over his head and can fly like a helicopter. I mean, there's different degrees of what people are willing to accept. And I'm not pointing at you. I'm just saying, like, this is what we're dealing with on the internet, and Twitter and everything is people are accepting one thing but not accepting. That's why I don't know. It's what I think me and Tony like to point this out on the show, in the movie show all the time, is you just want to sit down and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have fun, but I also want plausibility within the framework of the story.
Well, so you're saying that Thor's hammer, Marty, there's no big rope leather burn as he spins it real fast, doesn't go around his wrist real fast.
I mean that's a good point. I mean, he is a god, so I assume that he's probably impervious to leather burns. But
and he also looks up in the air and he's just whipped back. He just looks in the air and he's whipped back to.
And this lasso, I don't know if you've ever dealt with a bungee cord. It's this big. It's amazing how long it can get.
Again, it's a small thing. It's not that huge of a deal. I just wish.
I don't want to harp on Marty's thing. I don't mean to harp on your thing, Marty. You're not the only one that said it. I'm just trying to help explain to where I'm accepting of some of the things, or where people are complaining about other aspects that you'll probably get to of the story. That to me, it makes sense in the scheme of comics. And this is also what I feel like. This one is more of a in comics it's a I had the word in my head. It's when they talk about it's an Elseworlds tale, where it's kind of meant to be standalone, even though they're still kind of using it a little bit to kind of springboard more stuff, because they can explain away a lot of villains in the future of DCEU, or almost rewrite half of the DC universe from a movie like this alone, or when they do Flashpoint. But I mean, this feels like an Elseworlds tale, because in Elseworlds tale, so much crazy stuff happens in these comics where people die or the world goes nuts, and then all of a sudden at the end of it, you just close the book and it's like, oh, the world's okay.
Yeah. All right, so next point in the movie after this is actually heading into kind of Act 2, which to me was my biggest issue with the movie as far as pacing. I think it slowed down to a crawl once they introduced Max Lord and Barbara, and I can't remember Cheetah's last name.
Minerva.
Thank you. Barbara Minerva, which is Christine Wiig, and Pedro Pascal, who is Mandalorian, which is, that's a whole separate show. But anyway, so you introduce what's going to end up being the villains. And Pedro Pascal did an amazing job as Mac Lord. And Christine Wiig, I like her in her role too. To me, as I was watching this, I don't know, I just got vibes of Michelle Pfeiffer from the early Batman. I mean, it's basically her story, right? I mean, this timid, smart young woman who wants to be more than what she is and recognized, and kind of goes through this transformation. And that's probably a common trope in a lot of villains, right? It's like, nobody recognizes me. Hey, I've got power. Now I'm going to use it. And they become the bad person.
What? So I don't know the Cheetah backstory. I have no clue. So I didn't know what to expect. But Tamari talked about Michelle Pfeiffer. At least she wasn't licked by a bunch of cats.
Her backstory was help me out. When she's like stabbed with something, It was not the way it happened in the movie. I know that her origin story is not the way.
Oh
it was in the
well,
movie.
Cheetah's been done so many times. It's been a dude a couple of times. I mean, it's been done so many times. So it's there's no telling. I mean, this is actually a pretty good way to explain Cheetah. I think, the kind of the whole wishes part. It's always been again. It's always been kind of mystical, and sometimes it's even been. I'm pretty sure it's also been in Amazon at one point. I mean, there's been so many different ways that Cheetah's come. The backstory of Cheetah wasn't my problem. I like how they made her lose her humanity, and that was part of. I like how they tied it into into Maxwell lore and then Diana even explains that gods like to play tricks. Now I don't remember which set of gods Themyscira goes with. I don't know if it's Norse,
Zeus,
Roman. I don't know which ones it is.
Greek.
Okay, so and I don't know if Loki is considered Greek, and they probably couldn't name check that as the trickster. When they talk about the monkey's paw and stuff like that, but they name check the monkey's paw as it being kind of a tricking thing, as you will get what you want, but you will lose something, and that was kind of the theme throughout the whole thing, and even going back to like the first little art thing, the first little Themyscira scene. So the thing about Barbara, and this is kind of a Cheetah thing in the comics too, she loses all of her. She's such a sweet person, thought about everybody before herself. She lost her absolute humanity by becoming Cheetah, and she just couldn't see it. And I thought that was a really good explanation. And I mean, you even see it out of, they kind of try to explain that a little bit out of Maxwell Lord. He just loses everything and has to find what will bring him back. But do you want to talk about the worst thing about Cheetah, or are we going to get to that later?
Okay.
Hold on. Just want to say real quick. Thanks to Dell in the chat, who said Cheetah's powers accidentally cut herself with a dagger belonging to a lost tribe of Amazons. I knew it was something she was getting cut or something. So thank you, Dell, for that.
Yeah.
Thank you. So growing up, 70s, 80s, and especially the 70s, and the Super Friends and the Doom,
Legion of Doom.
I had no problem with Cheetah just being Cheetah. That's what I grew up with. So did I need a backstory here? That's kind of interesting. Why do we always need a backstory? Why can't she just be suddenly Cheetah?
Because I don't know. I guess because
Marty wants motivations. I mean, I can see that. A lot of people like motivations though, too, right? Is that what you had said earlier?
I agree. I love motivations, which is why I have an issue with Max Lord. I have no clue what his motivation is, except maybe at the very end of the movie, you find out the guy had a really rough childhood. I wish that would have been told up front, because I had no sympathy for Max Lord all the way through. It's like, why are you doing this? Except for, is it power? Are you just power hungry? So, but yes, I am into motivation. So, Tony, I do think that a lot of times, once the origin story is like, well, that's kind of motivation for who they are.
And I mean, in the comics, you never get motivations from Max Lord. He's just an absolute ass from day one. I mean, and he's even been in the Justice League. I mean, he's been all over the place. I mean, he killed the first Blue Beetle in the comics. So, I mean,
I forgot
they
that.
actually did better.
So wait a minute. Max Lord is actually in the DC. See, I didn't know that.
But see,
they made
been
this
around
guy
for a long time. He
But
was actually in the Supergirl TV show as well.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, he's a brilliant businessman who can basically control people with his mind. So his power in this was nothing like in the comics, which I don't understand why they had to switch that too. I don't understand why the wishing stone even had to be a thing.
So I was trying to think of that too. That's a good point. I think mind control might have been a little bit, it might have crossed more lines than the wishing stone could have, because at least, I mean, the whole story that I thought they were going to do is he was mind controlling enough people, and he made Diana think that Steve Trevor was alive. And I was like, that's going to be an awful story. Whereas the way they did it here, where it was more of a spirit embodying a person, I was like, well, all right, I could deal with that, because he knows his limitations. He knows he probably shouldn't be there. So I was really impressed with that. They took me by surprise at that, and it kind of worked. I do agree with you, though. I'm wondering what the difference could have been if Max Lord, if they did have his mind control powers in there. But he is, like you said, he's a brilliant strategist. They made him more of a buffoon of a businessman and a con man. So I don't know if I like that, because he's supposed to already be brilliant. And he didn't seem like that in here. So that's a little problem I had. He was played pretty well by Pedro Pascal. It's just, I don't know if he had enough to work with there.
Yep. So, all right. So let's talk about the Wishing Stone. And basically, we introduce the characters. All this. This is where Diana secretly makes a wish, and then Steve Trevor appears. So it's cool seeing Chris Pine back as Steve Trevor. I think they have good chemistry. And so my thing with this was I did not appreciate him taking over another man's body. I think that was poorly written. I mean, this Wishing Stone can build walls, manufacture nuclear weapons out of thin air, and you couldn't produce Steve Trevor. Instead, he had to possess somebody else, and I had a problem with that because
I don't know,
also
you think resurrection is better than possession? I'm asking serious
no,
questions.
I
may disagree, but I respect your side of this. But
there's a guy with a job in somewhere who was taken over by somebody else and had carnal knowledge with Wonder Woman without his consent. I mean, there's a lot of little tricky things going on here. Why not just bring him back instead of possessing another man? And then it made to me that final scene when she runs into him really creepy. It's like, I know what junk's in your trunk over there, and it was like that was just it's just weird.
I think that's awfully thinking into a coincidence, a cute coincidence. I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't mind Steve Trevor coming back with the wish. I just wish it hadn't been through.
Oh, don't say the W word. You don't know who's listening.
Through another man.
Well, I mean, I had no problem with that. I mean, I was kind of curious how they were going to explain it all. That was, I mean, I got past that.
Okay.
See, Marty's a deep thinker here, Dan. I'm not. I'm like, okay. So she wished him, and maybe this poor guy was leading a obviously interesting life, but he needs to go back in the bowl. They put him back in the bowl. And, all of me here, now Steve's there, and I enjoyed the scenes. I enjoyed him getting caught up to speed in 1984 and how things are. I enjoyed that whole. Did it go a little long? No, but
it did go a little long.
It didn't for me.
Okay.
Do you think Steve Trevor is now in Scott Bakula's body somewhere?
He could have.
That would have been amazing.
That would have been a good post-credit scene. Oh boy.
That would have been funny. So basically we got the flip of the first movie, a fish out of water, except Diana was a fish out of water in the first movie and Steve's a fish out of water in this movie.
See, I didn't even realize that, Marty. Thank you for pointing that out.
But so the thing is though, why 1984? One thing I was very excited about this movie was, oh man, here we go. A movie based in the 80s. They're going to do all the fun 80s stuff. To me, they didn't lean into the 80s at all. I thought this is going to be an amazing soundtrack. Tons of 80s music. There was none. There was no 80s product placement. There was no 80s jingles. There was no 80s. I mean, so members only, yes, Jazzercise, but that was it. I don't even know.
There was a few. There wasn't. I'd have to watch it again to write down more. I didn't write down enough things when I was watching the first time, but there was a few. But you're right. There's a few things where I'm wondering why. I mean, the other one I'll get to has to do with Cheetah. There's got to be a reason under there. Like the music thing, there has to be a reason because they just, for Wonder Woman, I wonder if they just like the classic orchestral overtones for like the whole movie. I kept telling my daughter, I'm like, that's the Wonder Woman theme. And they never really went full on to one. They played that Wonder Woman theme in the first movie a million times, and they never really went full theme in the second one.
Nope.
And yet they never really went full 80s music. I think they had more 80s music in the trailer than they had in the movie. So I agree. I was wondering why.
Yeah. And so number one, Hans Zimmer did the soundtrack. Hans Zimmer always does amazing music. So the music was good by itself. I just wish it had been more to it. So Mac in the chat said, I think the 80s strictly for the Cold War. I came to the same conclusion. The only thing I can figure was you picked the 80s because you could have the whole Cold War thing with Reagan and Russia. That's the only thing I think.
With nukes, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that confused me again. So if we're in the 80s, I'm looking for Reagan. Was that guy supposed to be Reagan?
I think he was just be Reagan-esque. I don't think he was supposed to be Reagan, but we just know in the 80s we had the Cold War going on.
I think more and more movies are trying to do presidents that don't look like anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I'm supposed to know the timeline and know what was going on during that timeline, but forget all the people that were in the timeline.
Got it.
Okay, I had fun in the movie. Just had some issues.
It's fair. It's fair.
So to be honest with you, after the first mall scene and about 60 minutes after that.
Are we back in the mall scene?
No.
No,
Okay,
I know his
no,
point.
it's
Marty's
longer
he's
than
going to make
that
a good
movie.
point.
60 minutes after my kids looked at me and said, "So when does the movie start?" And I'm going, I don't know. I had to stay awake. I was
thought you were
almost
gonna say
falling. I was almost
not a lot of action.
there. Well,
which is-
number one, there wasn't. But I was about
No,
to
you're
fall
right.
asleep in the second act. It's like it's not until they go to Egypt where we get another action scene, and there's a long time between the mall and that point. And even though I think, here's the thing, I have this issue with a lot of movies. Too many villains. To me, I think you could have picked Cheetah, you could have picked Max Lord and been done with it, because you have to spend so much time, like Tony, like you said, on their backstory that I don't get to see Diana.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But there was, what do you think? Are you talking like it's not really, I don't know if that's a side story. You're just trying to figure out what's going on with the stone, I think. Were you saying there's more villains?
No. I'm saying there's too many villains. I wish there'd been just one.
Oh, so you saying 2 is too many?
Yeah, I think Cheetah didn't even need to be there except for a fight at the end. That's the only reason why she was there.
And I don't even think she needed to be there.
I don't know. I like their interactions, and I think Diana learned a little something with their interactions as well, because I think Diana was really starting to get a little haughty-taughty with herself, and then I think even Barbara made her think a little bit, told her to enjoy the smaller things in life a little bit too. So, and I don't think Diana was really open for friendship, and she was really learning that, I can have friendship with other people.
Yeah, no, it's just that what happens was it drug the movie up. My youngest son, pretty much at this point, left the room and never came back during the second act. So it was
a little too long. I agree. I think it was probably 20 to 30 minutes too long. Like I said, I still absolutely enjoyed the movie, but I also enjoy, picking apart kind of the story building in the middle. Like I eat up all that stuff, and this is another movie that I like. The first one was actually a little too long as well. I think I even said this about the first Wonder Woman, because and again, they have to go into the end of the first one showing, got to remember we're talking about gods fighting here. So, and then that's why that one gets a little ridiculous. Whereas the end of this one, they have to up the stakes and show the stakes, and that's why it gets a little ridiculous too. But again, these movies I think are made for the TNT remake, not remake, like the TNT recut, where you can put it on for 3 hours, get all this money in commercials, and then you could turn in at any time and just jump right in. Like some of these movies, I mean, even Guardians 2 was way too long, but it's perfect for TNT because if you miss the first hour, you don't care. You're just right in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, Marty, we kid about when we talk about movies on the podcast, and when I sit there and say, Donna fell asleep during movies. Your son leaves, but my wife stayed awake, and she has fallen asleep through a lot of movies.
Good.
Okay.
Good. All right. So, to me, the total low point of this movie was the scene coming up right before the big action scene. So they need to go to Cairo. And, man, how are we going to get over there? Diana says, I got an idea. Let's go to the Smithsonian. And I went, no, come on. No, there's jets there. I went, no. Steve says, I want to fly one of these. Oh my gosh. No. So they go to Smithsonian where these planes are there for you to look at. There happens to be one that happens to have full of fuel. Here's a guy who can only fly a World War I plane, hops into a jet, knows how to crank it up, starts it up. Oh my gosh, they're going to be seen. Diana goes, hold on, wait a minute. My dad taught me a magic trick one time about how to make things invisible. Boop. And that's how you get the invisible plane. At that point, I was going, I'm done. I was about ready to walk out at that point because I could not suspend disbelief anymore at that chain of events that just happened right there. By the way, they got into a fighter plane that can't even reach Egypt because I looked it up.
I mean, this is full willing suspension of disbelief with stuff like this. I mean, I could point out something in every single Marvel movie that is just as ridiculous as this is.
Okay, but come on. This, yes, ridiculous, but plausibility. Come on. This
I mean,
is
it's a jet
this is
plane.
not
I mean-
this isn't just suspending belief. The thing with the magic, that's suspending belief, but believing that a guy from 1918 can get into a 1980 fighter jet and fly it without any
Marty-
issues. Come on.
Marty, how do you know the guy who he possessed
No, there was
didn't
no
have some cognitive pilot
okay,
ability?
see, now you're just grasping at straws now.
Well,
And
no,
how
they
do you
said
know
he was
that
an
plane-
engineer. Marty, you can fly, can't you? You're an
No.
engineer. You can fly, right?
No.
In 1984, wasn't Microsoft Flight Simulator out?
Oh my gosh.
And as far as the
I don't
cast
know.
goes, yeah, I had an issue with that, but I figured, well, they were doing the Indiana Jones.
There was some teleportation going on too, because people were hopping all over the
Landing
world
on
in this
islands
thing.
and fueling up. Come on, man.
So I mean, the fact that a demigod can make a plane disappear, and we're explaining the invisible jet is kind of just, it's cheeky. I can get on board with being annoyed about jet fuel in 1984 of a whatever it was. Was that a World War II fighter jet? I don't.
No,
It was like a F-11.
It was more of like a
Aardvark?
Top Gun.
Not have to
Or
look
even
it up. It
smaller
might
than
be a
that,
60s jet.
Yeah.
I dropped a piece of popcorn. Hold on.
So I mean, I mean, I could see it. I mean, I think that's what Chris even told us. He wants to bring something up. He's jet fuel, and I'm sure he's even saying there's no way there's any fuel in any of the jets in the Smithsonian or the Air and Space Museum, which I don't know. Wouldn't that be the Air and Space Museum where they were at? I was trying to see the background.
It's Air and Space Museum.
It was a F-111 Aardvark, which entered service in 1967.
Okay.
So how do we know that they were not just flew it to the Smithsonian to put it on display, and they were fixing the drain?
Again, Tony, if you want to come up with these things from the side and try to explain it, sure, but put it in the flipping movie. Anyway, I just had an issue with that. It was just
but
too.
Then it would have been even longer if they have to explain it being fueled. Like
That's
they have
true.
to have a little scene of them saying, "We just flew this one in here. It's our newest addition to the exhibit."
You want me to tell you we can cut out another 5 minutes? Here's another
Yes.
place. What's that over there? Well, Steve, that's fireworks. Ooh, fireworks. What's that?
Aren't fireworks like hundreds of years old?
Yes.
That's weird.
So
And I got an idea.
And
Let's
then-
fly through them. I'm like, isn't that like flak? Wouldn't a pilot want to be avoiding that?
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Again, just strip that part out. Put it, Patty Jenkins, put that on the floor. Just get in the jet, your invisible fly. But no, you've got to do this whole fireworks sequence of supposedly he's never seen fireworks before and they've existed for hundreds of years.
Yeah, I mean, again, is it a perfect movie? Is it my favorite movie? No, but again, what are we talking? We're talking about a popcorn movie. We loved movies with dinosaurs in them, and we're talking about jet fuel.
Okay, I love popcorn movies too, but there's no reason why popcorn movies can't have good reasoning behind it.
Again,
you were looking for things that
Rocket Raccoon. What else more do we need that has no realism in it?
Dan, he's looking for something at this point in the movie.
No,
he is at the nitpick level. And I'll admit, this is not my favorite.
I mean, it's probably the straw. This is probably the straw right here.
Yeah,
that might be the straw for Marty that broke it.
And he's on the plane, and this was the straw, not the plane. Though I'm sitting here going, okay, I'm playing the Indiana Jones thing where they're going in all the islands to refuel it and all that. But this is what broke it for me is I kind of got the wishing stone, but then the guy made a wish. He sold all his oil, and now you get your wish. They didn't explain I got completely lost at that point in the movie where walls were being erected, and I guess I just zoned out. I had no idea what was going on. Oh, you're going to have to deal with the turmoil and the water. What is he talking about?
That's where a lot of people got lost. Now, I'm not just the only one, but I've been reading a lot of comments and reviews and stuff. A lot of people are lost at that too. So this is where they kind of really show you this is the monkey's paw, right? You make a wish, I'm going to take something in return. So I'm going to give you this, but you get turmoil back. I'm not sure why there was turmoil.
Well, I'm trying to remember what his exact words were, what he was wishing for. He wanted to send the people back to before. I don't know the wording of it. And he's like, all right, you're going to do it. It was like
his group owns this, and he wants all the people out of there, and he wants it so that they can never, ever come back in, and I get, all right, well, that's fine. So the way we're going to do that is build these unpassable walls.
Right. Everything has a catch. So that's the
Right.
catch. Like,
And
and the catch of it, but I'm also taking something in return. Like your wish has a catch, but I'm taking something in retribution. Like it's possible that, and this is one of the faults that I have with the whole Maxwell Lord thing, is that the omnipotence of Maxwell Lord it reached a peak really fast.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
don't know, Marty, you look like you're gonna say something. I want to let you get in there.
No, go ahead.
No, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I would have rather have just had a movie with Cheetah, to be honest, even though, and with better CG. Like when I was even a little more worried about Max Lord and how he was going to do it. But the wishing stone thing, again, I'm fine with magic, and they make a good, it's all a big lesson at the end of how, like you said, everything has a cost, and that you can't always have what you want. You can't always get what you want. There's always a catch. You can't have your cake and eat it too. However you want to say it. And that was a lesson that everybody had to learn in the film, even from good guy to bad guy. But yeah, I often have problems with what villains they choose. And her villain, they don't have as many. Wonder Woman traditionally doesn't have as many good villains as a lot of other heroes do in the DCU.
Sure.
And she's amazing. Plain and simple.
Mhm.
Come on. Write a new villain. I can handle that.
Oh, who are you talking about? Wonder Woman's amazing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and it's just hard because there's not a whole lot iconic. There's not a whole lot great. I mean, there's others, and they're usually either other Amazons or other kind of god creature, and it's just very, very hard. That's why it's hard to. A lot of heroes are like this. Like Flash has a lot of rogues galleries that are great, but there's not a lot that are just super superior that would carry a movie. So I mean, I just, that's the problem, I think. I mean, they have a lot of great iconic villains, but most of them just are around Batman and Superman.
Yep. So right after that, they kind of explain the wishing stone. They end up meeting Barbara somewhere, and they have that one guy that says, okay, this thing's from like a long time ago, and explains how the whole thing works. Finally get another fight scene out in the desert with the convoy and everything like that. So you get to see, I think that's where they hit on the theme a little bit, Dan, with the music at that point where she pops out. I think it's interesting that basically all the action sequences in this movie are shown in the trailer. There's only really 4, and they're all shown in the trailer. I could have used more action, but this is where, to me, a lot of people have said this, and I kind of agree here. This is where the CGI kind of fell a little bit. There was some really odd things where she was like running beside like a truck, but the pacing of her running didn't match the speed of what she was going, and it just kind of threw me out of the scene really quick. It just looked really odd.
I have to look at that. I have to look at that next time. Her super speed always looks a little weird. Like even when they were in a room in the first one and she's taking out like the German soldiers, some of those, just the way that they did the fast forward is just a little, I'm going to say wonky. It's just a different way to do super speed.
But it's also at this point too, where Wonder Woman or Diana finds out, I'm starting to lose, because of my wish, I'm starting to lose my powers. So now she can be injured. I always like it when when Superman has his kryptonite, when they're not as tough as what you think they are, and they got to be a little more careful. To me, it's kind of like, you've watched all of Mandalorian, right, Dan?
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool when the episode with Bill Burr, where Mando had to take off his armor and just wear normal armor, and then all of a sudden laser blast was starting to hit him. It's like, holy crap, that hurts. He had to he had to really fight for real because he didn't have the protection of his armor. So I thought it was kind of cool to see Diana, holy crap, I've really got to start dodging bullets because I can take hits now.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's where you started to see the monkey's paw, and it was really Steve. You could tell that Steve was the one that was thinking about it a little bit more than she was, where he started figuring out more like, you know what, my time is very limited because I can't let you keep going downhill like this. And I think that was a big thing. I'm trying to remember, was the barber part after this where they met up with the guy, or was it before?
I can't remember.
My timeline. What guy?
The guy who told him about the wishing stone.
Right, with the book.
Yeah.
That. It's based on her costume. So that would have, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either. One person in the comments said, curious, do you think Wonder Woman lost her powers because of Diana's wish or because of Christine Wigg's? Personally, I think it's because of Diana's wish. I think Christine Wigg's wish cost her humanity.
Yes, and also
that confused me. That confused me.
Kristen Wiig's wish made her as powerful as Diana, whereas Diana started losing hers as she brought life back. She was losing part of her life and making her more mortal.
So Diana's is to bring Steve back, and it takes a long time for her to lose her power.
Conveniently for the story, yes.
Okay. Well, hold on, Dan. Hold on.
Okay.
However, President, who is supposed to be Reagan, that doesn't look anything like Reagan, says he wants a whole bunch of nuclear missiles, and hundreds of them are magically appearing delicious. You know what I'm saying? Suddenly.
Right, but the negative part is what you're asking about. How fast does the negative part come up, where as opposed to the positive part?
Yeah.
She immediately got her wish, and it took forever for him to get whatever. But the stone, it was the stone at that time that got the bad thing. It wasn't Max Lord. The stone began to take it away.
Right. Yeah. And if you see the fight where I don't think she was as powerful, as strong as Cheetah in the White House. So you could see that even her powers were starting to fade then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a different thing with the stone taking it versus Max Lord taking it.
I know. I think it's a cost either way.
No, I'm not saying there's no cost. I'm just saying the time that it takes.
But I think the time you're talking about, there's a time, I think the positivity is more evident initially as opposed to the negativity where it's not quite as evident right away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cypher 1000 said, I just don't know what the cost of Christine's wish was. And Atticus, I think, will say what I was saying. Christine's wish cost her humanity and compassion.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Which then got us. Can we get to the last thing? We've been doing this for an hour.
All right. My gosh. So the scene at the White House, you got any comments there? I mean, again, it was another, I guess, fun little action scene. But
no, it's a good action scene. It's fun.
How can bullets not hit your arm through a silver platter? I don't understand. But okay, whatever.
Listen, it's just more time we get to see Gal Gadot running around and beating things up. It's fine. It's great.
Okay.
More of that, please.
Okay.
Okay. So then Max, like you said, is just going totally power hungry. He's like, hey, President, these secret plans over there, what's this? It's like, well, guess what? We just have a new technology where we can use these satellites where we can infiltrate all the TVs and everything like that. And through some particles or something, you could just kind of reach out and touch. Wait a minute. With particles, I can reach out and touch somebody? And I'm like, oh, my Lord. Are you serious? You're going to be telling me that you're going to be reaching through particles so that you can garner wishes from people.
Particles is the least of our worries after a guy is granting wishes to everybody in the world.
So anyway, so he goes off to what looks like an island or something like that where this transmission place is. And basically he starts doing a transmission, says, everybody tell me your wish. And this is where we had the big climax of the movie. Tony.
So, okay. Another thing that lost me. Why does he have to keep granting wishes? I guess maybe I fell asleep and I didn't.
It was starting to take a drain on him and affect him physically. His health was starting to deteriorate. So he needed more wishes. And part of it was life force. He said, I take your life force. I take your health. I'll be immortal. So for every wish somebody took, he took some life force back.
Oh, that was said somewhere in the movie?
Yes.
Yeah, and they were playing fast and loose with creating things there too, which is, again, it's just movies, and they're just playing fast and loose with those. And again, I can definitely see. Listen, there are. It depends on what we're arguing. What people are mad about, and there are things that I can see. Yeah, fine. You just have to find whatever. We're talking about wishes here, but again, we don't know how big that initial rock was and how much did it take its toll, or how much life force did it take. They didn't give us a lot of. They just said it was throughout history and only bad things. It only crashed civilizations.
So okay, this was an argument before we make it to the particle beam transmitter thing. Let's put a pin in that because I want to talk about those rocks.
Okay.
Or the rock.
So let me ask you something. Since you guys can just wave away just obvious plot issues, I got to ask you this one thing. They emphasized this part when Max was running around his office. He needed to heal himself, and he was wanting people to grant a wish. And everybody had already made a wish. And he said, like, I can only give people one wish. They made that very obvious because he was going around grabbing people. Wish for something. Oh, you've already wished for something. It can't be you. Got to be somebody else. They get on the plane.
I feel generous.
Barbara says, oh, man, I want to be like an apex predator. And, well, you can. But I've already used my one wish. Oh, no, I can grant you a second one. Where did that come from? He just, one scene, 5 minutes earlier, he told people I can only grant you one, and now he can grant her two?
Fair.
Because he doesn't want to take anything.
Oh my gosh. No, I'm not accepting that one. That was just convenient for the story.
It's fair. I mean,
okay. So anyway,
it's both. They're both fair. No, I mean, it's a fair argument, but I mean,
so Apex Predator
whatever.
is obviously not a blue whale. It's a cheetah. So, so then that's how you get the transformation to the cheetah. And then probably, you got to admit, this was a horribly shot fight scene with bad CGI in it.
So the fight scene, not necessarily bad, because they had to go, and I don't know. See, this, we're getting into things that I hinted at this earlier, where there has to be a reason. Like, and I think Jeff Johns has his I think he has his paws and everything, his monkey paws and everything, where why are we going with the Kingdom Come armor? Why do we have to do this? Do we care about the Kingdom Come? Like, it was an okay story from about what, 10, 20 years ago, Kingdom Come. I mean, why do we need the big armor? I mean, is it just there to have the payoff of the post-credit scene that is the Great Warrior with the Kingdom Come armor? And the other thing that I kind of mentioned earlier, that there has to be a reason. There has to be a reason why we needed Kristen Wiig's face in a bad CGI. Why? I mean, I can go right now to a wiki about Cheetah, and the art that they that they made for that is better than that face. Now, is it in her contract that Cheetah still has to look like her? There has to be some sort of reason that you let crap CGI like that. The fight scene I'm fine with. Great. I mean, they beat each other up for a while and Diana wins. I mean, that's typical superhero fare. You know, the villain gets the upper hand. You know, first it's always the hero, then the villain, then the hero, and then it's over. But I mean, that face on Cheetah, everything else was fine. The face was awful.
Yeah. So that's a great. I'm sorry, Tony. You go, then I'll go.
Okay. So Dan.
Yes.
Captain America CGI.
Oh my God.
CGI.
Oh, they're both horrible.
Which, because we've heard, people who have listened to us talk about this know that you love that Captain America. The first one CGI.
I think even a Cheetah looks better than that Captain America CGI. You got to remember, that's what, 10, 12 years ago. That one where he's in the corner. After he's got the small head on a big old body. Oh, that's awful. It's so bad. Oh. It looks like a balloon. It looks so bad.
So Atticus may have answered my question. He said that about the double wish. He said he didn't grant her another wish. He gave her the cost that was from other people's wishes. I'd have to go back and watch that scene, but it sounds like what he's saying, that somebody made a wish, and then the cost he gave, the benefit of it he gave to Barbara.
He gave her somebody else's dividends.
Okay, I guess. Okay, if that's the case, okay, I'll take that.
That's fine.
Sure. I didn't even think about this, Dan. Big deal about the Kingdom Come armor. It's right here. You just look on the screen that you're watching this on. That's that, glorious golden armor. What was the benefit of that, actually?
Well, yeah, it let her take a few extra hits early, maybe tired out Cheetah a little bit.
Okay. All right.
I was just curious. I was wondering the same thing. Like, I was really worried about that when I saw the trailers. I'm like, oh, great. Armor that we had for maybe 3 comics is what we're going to focus the whole movie about. Mm-hmm. But I mean, they explained it. I mean, they had a whole scene about talking about this great Amazon warrior and the armor. Like, she told Steve about it, and then she breaks it out. It gets beat up a little bit, and then later it's the payoff is the post credit scene. But I mean, it's so weird. I was wondering about that whole arc.
Sorry.
So for me,
Todd in the comments said it's a spiritual Ponzi scheme. That's funny. Okay, that's a good comment.
It absolutely is. I mean, she even makes a point, because he's a con man, and somebody makes a a point about him being a Ponzi scheme guy, and it truly is. And I don't know if we kind of skipped it. Like there was the foreshadowing of him being really mad about having to talk about having to have his son for the weekend. And man, if for any dads out there, that just hit, that was a gut punch right there. And you even saw his face after he did it. He realized what he did. And I'm like, there's going to be a payoff out, because he made such a big deal about his son being the only thing really important to him. So you knew that was going to come back later.
I didn't even touch on the son. Good point.
See, and I knew nothing about this Kingdom Come armor other than it was gold when I saw it in this movie. So y'all know more way. So I accepted it as is. I didn't.
Kingdom Come was the name of the miniseries that she had this armor in.
I don't care.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't care.
Well, anyway, so they have the big fight, and she has to electrocute her in the end, but somehow Diana doesn't get electrocuted, even though she's wearing a metal suit. But we'll just look over that. She's a god.
No, she's a god, and well, you gotta remember, what is she? The daughter of Zeus. So I mean, electricity ain't gonna do anything to her.
Okay.
She rides the lightning.
So, and by the way, not that Marty and I are electrical engineers or anything, but the minute you broke that thing, you created a fault, which immediately cleared the relays, which immediately shut off the power.
Nice.
Okay, that's being picky. Okay.
Hey.
Wait, we better write that down. Marty said that's being picky.
Yeah, Marty said that.
Okay. All right. So she goes into the studio. She destroys the camera. So I don't know what this beam of light is, but Max Lord goes and stands in this beam of light, which I guess are these particles now, and he still does his thing. And it has this touching moment. Talk about touching moment. Just rewind for a second. I will say Gal Gadot, I thought, did an amazing job acting when she had to tell Steve Trevor bye that last time. Seeing her break down like that was really cool, because you hadn't seen Wonder Woman do that. That kind of got me in the feels. It was kind of like, that's really cool to see. Steve ended up kind of saving the day again, which a lot of people didn't really care for. But anyway, that was a cool scene. It was good acting. So anyway, so now, she wraps the lasso.
Well, and again, anybody that's married or has that one true love, I mean, I think we all have our one true love. I mean, that kind of almost brought a tear to my eye, because you put yourself in either one of their shoes, and that's gut wrenching.
Yep. So at the end, she's having this passionate speech where you think it's to Max Lord, but no, it's actually to everybody else, telling them to rescind their wish because the lasso is attached to his foot, which he's standing in a light, which is somehow getting beamed across the entire world. So are we to assume that everybody across the world rescinded their wish, or did Max rescind his wish, canceling all the other wishes?
That's what I'm going with, Marty. That's what I'm going with. And back to Dan's previous call, I once again envision, you hit the nail on the head. Quantum leap. When I saw that scene, I'm like, what'd they do? Steal quantum leap and made it gold?
I really want to. I want a TV show of where Steve Trevor ends up next. So okay. So so your question, Marty, about so they do spend a whole scene about talking about seeing the truth, where the lasso also lets you see the truth. Not only makes you tell the truth, it makes you see the truth. So it made Maxwell Lord see the truth of what he was actually doing. And the most important thing was seeing the truth of what it was doing to his son. So that brought the humanity back to him, and that his biggest side effect is that he lost his son in the whole thing. Now, to me, and I don't think they did a very good job of this in the movie. Again, like I said, I don't have to agree with everything in the movie. You listen to half the times I've talked about Star Wars. I don't have to agree with everything they talk about that happens in a movie to enjoy a movie. To me, they should have done a better job explaining that him rescinding his wish reversed everything that he made happen, which is what I was kind of figuring. But they also make a big deal about people rescinding their wish, which we didn't need. But Diana rescinded her wish. We don't think Cheetah rescinded her wish, but we never have a payoff of her leaving, which is fine because you can bring her back later if you really need to.
I'm sorry, but she had changed back, right? That was her normal face at the end. I think
it was.
Okay.
I think it was her normal face at the end. So
right, she changed back, but did she rescinded her second wish? So her first wish is still solid?
Again, I don't know who rescinded what. I can't assume that everybody across the world rescinded their wish.
But did they need, that's the thing, did they need to? But so the other thing that leaves this open too, if most people around the world rescinded their wish, if not everybody did, this is another thing I mentioned earlier, like this opens the doors to other villains in the universe. So maybe other people that didn't rescind their wish are now the supervillains that we have in the future DCEU.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool.
This is possible. I mean,
it's an interesting idea. Then you had this touching moment at the very end where somehow Max gets off an island and back on the White House lawn, and his son runs through the thicket, and they have a touching moment. I'm like, okay, I guess teleportation again. Somehow he gets from an island back to here immediately, and the son comes running through. But that's their closure moment. I was kind of
no. You missed it, Marty. His son was on a freeway.
Yes.
All right. Max was on the island.
Yes.
He took Marine Chopper 1 after he rescinded his wish. So the Marines were gracious enough to bring him back to his mansion, not the White House. That was his mansion, wasn't it?
I thought it was the White House.
In the time it took him to fly back, his son was able to get off the freeway and back and find his dad.
Okay.
Again, at this point, we're like, credits. I'm with you because, like I said, it's 20, 30 minutes too long. At this point, I'm like, all right, Max is happy. Is we just happy for the kid? All right, what's next for Diana? And where's Barbara? Like, I wanted a little bit of a payoff for Barbara.
There was none. I was like,
weird too.
I was really wanting to like, either she changed back or she didn't, and I was really surprised. I thought that was going to be the mid-credit scene. I thought it was going to be Barbara. So what was the actual final shot of it was the Christmas, at Christmas time, and she runs into the guy that she got with, but he doesn't know about it, and they have a cute little exchange there.
I love how the first thing that comes to your mind, Marty, is that it's the carnal knowledge.
It's creepy. It's creepy and it's wrong.
Hey, it'll be on the Hallmark Channel.
Yeah. Do you know that guy is from the Hallmark Channel? Vanessa was like,
really?
Yeah, Vanessa was like, that guy looks familiar. And she looked at him, he's on the Hallmark movies.
Oh, man, have I spent a lot of time in the last few weeks watching Hallmark movies with my wife.
So here's the thing, too. I guess, does everybody rescind their wish, but they remember what happened? Is there not this, like, remember that day the Earth almost ended? I wish they would have almost, like, if the wishes were rescinded, the memories were wiped.
I think that's why it feels more like an Elseworlds tale where, and at the end of an Elseworlds tale, you're not supposed to ask questions. It's just the book's over next week, or after the annual's done next week, they just don't, it doesn't make sense. It's just another world story where, all right, well, things are over. I mean, we don't have to worry about the aftermath of that. I mean, it's like, Avengers 1, they destroy half of New York. They almost nuke it. And what happens the next day? Well, we don't care. The Avengers saved the day. I mean, it's the same thing with Batman v Superman. Those two idiots, not Batman v Superman, Man of Steel. Zod and Superman that's the biggest problem I have. They destroy half the city, and they try to make it up in the next couple of movies as to Batman's pissed, and people are a little pissed. So, I mean, these are just the things that we do at the end of superhero movies where the credits roll and it's a blank slate.
And speaking of the credits, I must admit, even though it was, some people may say it's cheesy or whatever, I got a little choked up at the mid-scene credits when they showed Linda Carter.
That was great.
I thought that was very cool.
That was a good payoff.
Mm-hmm.
And did you notice her eyes when they showed her? Because I'm pretty sure those were her eyes when they showed the Kingdom Come armor when she was telling the story about Now, I won't say that I was good enough to notice it was Linda Carter. I'm like, I know those eyes. Because Linda Carter's been around quite a bit. Like again, she was also in Supergirl. She was the president Supergirl. So she's been around a little bit. And I'm like, man, I know those eyes. But I didn't picture it was until she got kind of halfway through that twirl she did in the post credits. And I'm like, oh, that's where those eyes.
So let me ask you this. So we've gone through this entire thing. I'm going to put you on the spot. If you had to give this a value from 1 to 10, just out of curiosity, what would you give Wonder Woman 1 versus Wonder Woman 1984? And I'll give you a chance to think about it because I already know mine because I've already been thinking about it. Wonder Woman the first one, I give an 8 easily. And if it could have been a little bit of change with the third act with Ares and the cheesy mustache and everything, it actually could have been higher. For Wonder Woman 1984, I think we all can agree it's probably a tad too long. If it could have cut 30 minutes out, there was a lot of stuff. Like I said, I was falling asleep in the middle.
Fair.
I'm going to have to give it a 5.
I'll be honest too, Marty, when I saw the runtime, when I looked at it when we were going to watch it, I was like, 221. There's no way this movie could have enough stuff for 221. And it didn't. But I didn't mean to pop in. Tony, do you want to tell?
No, go ahead, Dan.
So I would give Wonder Woman 1. Did you say 8? I think I was going to go 8.5. I think I'll go with 8.5 for Wonder Woman 1 because I really dig kind of the group stories and the way they handled that little kind of, I don't know, almost like the Dirty Dozen feel that group there was a lot of heart in that group and you learned a lot. And she, the fish out of water thing went on a little while, but it was still really good. And Chris Pine, you want to hate him, but he's such a cool guy and he's so good in everything he's in. So that movie was great. This one, I'll give it a 7.
Okay.
I mean, I liked it. It's average. I mean, maybe it's better than average, but it's not bad. Like, I think people pointing to it as bad, I think you can sit here and pick apart every single franchise there is, but I just like to enjoy movies. And so that's why I think I'd give it a 7. Time always tells with how rewatchable things are, in the world. Like, am I going to sit down and watch it? It's hard because it's so damn long. But when it comes on next Christmas on TNT, when I'm rapping, I'll definitely throw that on,
And Tony, before you give yours, if you're watching now Twitch on YouTube, if you want to throw in the chat, let me know what are your votes. Like right now, Todd just said he gave 9 for the first, 6.5 for the second. So give us your numbers. Tony, what's yours?
So, like Dan just said, I always look at movies. How much am I going to rewatch it? And for me, Wonder Woman 1, I'll give it an 8. It's definitely worth screening. Going back to our original ratings, I would definitely enjoyed Wonder Woman 1 on the big screen, and this one I would also say it's mid-road. It's a 5 at best for me. I enjoyed the movie. I had fun. I enjoyed watching it.
Maybe I should dock mine to a 4 or 3 because I didn't. Honestly, when it was over, it's like I felt like a waste of time for some of it.
And you and I very seldom agree on movies, Marty. But so from that standpoint, though, but I will probably never watch it on TNT. I find myself watching Guardians of the Galaxy. I find myself always watching Shawshank. I always, those kind of movies. But for me, this Wonder Woman 84, there wasn't enough 1984. There wasn't enough music. There wasn't enough action. It was too long. I will not watch it again. So a 5. I enjoyed it. I stayed awake, but not worth me spending 2.5 hours or 3 hours watching it again.
And go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, when I talk about like the way I watch a lot of these DC movies, like if I see Man of Steel is on and it's like the very beginning, I'll watch up until like Zod starts attacking everything. Then I'm like, all right, I'm out. And same thing with like, there's other parts of Batman versus Superman where kind of towards the end, after they've had their fight, everything else is good to watch. I mean, a lot of these movies, there's just, if you find it at that sweet spot, it's really good. And if you can cut out a lot of the kind of weird BS, I mean, I think we even hit on some of the scenes being a little long. You get some of those action scenes, like the very beginning is excellent. I even think the road, I'll have to look at what you're talking about though, Marty, with the CGI, but that road scene is still pretty fun. And then some of the other fights. But yeah, I mean, it may be a little too slow for the TNT unless I'm kind of just putting it up in the background while I'm doing something else.
Yeah. So a lot of scores are coming in. Most people are saying Wonder Woman 84 was 6.5. There's a person that said 4. By the way, if you're watching, give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed to Twitch. If you had fun tonight, we may do some more of these. Who knows? I will say, talk about Marty. You just don't like turning off your mind and just having fun. So over the weekend, we went and saw Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter is done by the same guy that did Resident Evil. So, Dan, I'm going to say this wrong, so correct me. Milo Jovovich? Milo Jovovich, yes.
Are they still married?
Yes, they are.
Her husband? Okay.
Yes, they are. And so anyway, so that was just under 2-hour movie. It was silly. It was there was some strange story stuff, but for 2 hours I got to see monsters fight on the screen and kind of enjoy myself and turn my brain off. So it's not that every movie has to be totally infallible and not have any issues. I just want to have a good time. And to be honest with you, Act 2 of Wonder Woman 84 lost me. It was just, I was just bored. And I don't know how they could have fixed that. Again, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, amazing. Not her fault. Pedro Pascal, Kristen Wiig did great with what they're given, and Chris Pine did amazing in his job. I'm now somewhat concerned because I loved Patty Jenkins and what she did with One. That 2 weeks ago it was announced that she's going to be doing Rogue Squadron for Disney. I got super excited, but she wrote Wonder Woman 84, and now I'm kind of concerned about Rogue Squadron.
So
can I ask you a question, Marty?
Mm-hmm.
So you loved monsters beating up on each other and all the gunplay and everything else. Is that correct?
All the gunplay?
Well, I mean, I'm sure she had to have either. I mean, they were Marines in the desert, so I'm sure there was probably some.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Guns.
Yeah.
I just meant machinery guns. I'm sure there was some swords. And arrows and everything else.
Yep.
So all that was cool with all the monsters. So why can't we like robots beating each other on the big screen?
Especially when they're in disguise.
Yes.
But so again, Dan, it has nothing to do with the content. It's how it's put together. And if it's like, never mind.
So Dan, this is something I put a pin in. Fair. Was the wishing stone? My daughter and I got into a debate after we watched it. Was the wishing stone only one, or did the god manufacture a whole bunch of them to ensure that other civilizations? I mean, I got the impression there was only one, but she felt like even though it was only that they buried one or they built it with the Mayans, that there were multiple so that the god could continue to decimate civilizations.
Well, I don't know if you guys are big Oceans fans. Oceans 11, Oceans 13.
I'm glad you didn't say 12. Nice job. Yes.
We're 12 was horrible.
What was 12? Which one was 12?
That's the one where they're in Italy, I think, right?
Italy or Paris. I can't remember.
I love the Vegas one the most.
Yeah.
That's one, and that's 11 and 13. Actually, Ocean's 8 is also excellent. So Don Cheadle says something about he says something in Ocean's 13. He's like, "No, man, that was the first con. You come up with a new con. You don't do the same con twice." So I think that's what gods would even, you look at that with the gods, like, no, we made one wishing stone. We can screw around with humanity another way. We don't need to just do the same con. So I think they would get bored. Gods are notorious for being bored with things. So
can I have 5 more minutes of y'all's time? Because I want to ask you something.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, sure. Why not?
Oh, you have to work tomorrow?
I always work. Thank you.
Oh, hush. All right. Is this the new paradigm for movies? Next year when we go and do our, hopefully, summer movie episode, are we going to be like, well, this movie is going to be streamed the same time it comes to theater, may not even come to the theater? Do you think that's just the new business model for movies? And if we do that, how the heck are we going to draft? Because you'd have no idea how much a movie's going to make now if it also streams.
That's an excellent point. I don't even know how we would draft doing that. It would still be fun to talk about them all, but draft would be a hard thing to do. But I think this is the new paradigm because, I mean, even next year, I don't know how many people are going to want to get back to the theater. I hope theaters aren't dead, but there's going to be a lot less of them. And I'm sure that HBO Max made a lot of money with subs for this. I hope the obvious division in public opinion doesn't hurt the idea of subs, but I don't think Mulan did very well because you had to have Disney Plus and then pay more. And I think that's what made WB say, all right, we're just going to put it on HBO Max. And I think they're putting everything DC out this year on HBO Max. So I think, God, I hope Suicide Squad is good, cheeky fun, and whatever else they've got coming out this year. I hope it's decent because there's not going to be a lot of things for us to watch for some time now.
Okay, so my daughter really, really disliked Mulan so much that I did not watch it, so that's fine. But Marty, I think overall, movies are going to be 2022 before you see us back in the theaters. I really do. I think, I mean, and I blame myself, Marty. I blame me for this because I bought the refillable popcorn bowl last year in 2019 for 2020. I used it twice.
I mean,
Well, if you use it twice, you might have almost got your money's worth then, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, I took it to a game night. And me and Marty had a blast with it.
Nice.
yeah, so I mean, hopefully we will have our episode at the end this year. I mean, they've already got movies coming out. The first one's going to be the Black Widow movie that was supposed to come out this past year. Will now be coming out in May.
Oh wow.
And I think I just
That's
read
really a long time to wait. And I'm surprised they didn't just throw it on Disney Plus.
and I read today that HBO Max has said that they're going to do 2 DC movies per year, both theatrical and stream. But I bet you they just eventually go just stream only. So they're now saying 2 movies per year on HBO Max.
Which is fine. I mean, I just want something. Just keep giving us something. I mean, you'll make some money back. You'll make the money back on all these things with these streams and whatever other rights you've got to sell. I mean, just keep putting the content out there and get good people to do it.
Yeah, but we will have to find another way to measure movies, because it can't be money at the box office. Because just like video games, it's like sometimes it's hard to measure how well a video game does because people download the digital copies and they don't always report that. I'm going to run to the kind of the same thing here.
Yeah, and the same thing with streams, or even it's hard. It really is hard for them to do TV ratings because I think if people leave it on their DVR for too long, it doesn't count. So that's also hard too.
Yep.
I just know as soon as Donna says she's comfortable going back to the theaters, I'm in. I'm going back.
Well, I'm trying to keep our like I said, we went and saw Monster Hunter this past week. The week before that, our local theater, we went and saw Die Hard. Saw Die Hard on the big screen again for the first time since 1988. That was absolutely magical. Awesome. I took all my boys and they just had a blast watching on the big screen. So that was fun.
So wait, your son, who is a huge Monster Hunter fan, was happy with that?
Happy with what? Monster Hunter?
With the movie? I don't know if you had said.
No, those 3 in there that are playing Monster Hunter right now on the Switch did not like it at all.
Oh.
They had, it's the issues like, we said, I didn't care for Max Lord's ability. I wish it had been what was in the comics. It was that sort of thing. That monster wasn't supposed to be like that sort of deal. So, they were very upset with that. At one point I was going to, by the way, if you have Disney Plus, we watched Soul last night. So if you haven't seen that, watch that. It's pretty good.
It's a good movie.
Yep.
So I pulled the earplugs out because my daughter's got Disney Plus, so I get to catch up on Mandalorian. So I don't need your password anymore, Marty.
Good. Did you watch season 1?
I made it halfway through.
Okay.
So I got to go back and do it all.
Do you know any spoilers?
Huh?
Do you know any spoilers from any of the
There's something about a baby Yoda. That's the only thing I know.
If that's the only thing you know, you need to binge as fast as possible.
Yes.
Marty, how much social media am I on?
Yeah, that was going to be my point. I don't see Tony as a connoisseur of everything on Twitter all the time.
I could care less.
Oh, well, this has been fun, guys. I hate Kirkman couldn't make it because I think Kirkman actually said in the text we were sending today that he liked this one more than one. So I'd be curious to have gotten his take on, because everybody in the chat here did like the first movie more. As more movies come out, maybe we can do this again, guys. Maybe if more streaming's done of movies, we can get back together and do little movie reviews. We'll do something because it's fun to hang out and talk. Dan, we haven't talked to you in forever. It's been nice talking to you.
Yeah, you tell me when the next big movie is that's out, and I'll make sure I watch it. I have to watch Tenet, but anytime a movie comes out and you want to do something with it, you let me know, and I'm sure Chris will be up for it normally too.
Because we're a board gaming podcast, so let's talk about movies.
Yeah, well, that brings up, so the next time on the Geek All-Stars, when we record after the new year, we're going to have David Wainwright and Rob Rouse, just so we can spoil all things Mandalorian, and then the 2 of them can tell me how much they hated Wonder Woman as well. So it'll be another good argument on that show as well.
So they keep having those 2 on, Tony, but they never have us on. You notice that?
You guys are busy. Wow, you're busy.
That's funny. Hey. Hold on. I never get a text or email saying, hey, can you come on? I don't see anything.
Okay,
there.
Well, you know what? I'll have you on before the end of February. You just think about what you want to draft. I want you guys to think about that.
Okay, I can do that. And there was something else I was going to ask you. Oh, Marty, Dan and I still play Ascension. Dan, I have never seen someone get so freaking. He beat me 284 to 13 or something. I don't know how.
I was going to text you and apologize for that last turn that I had. It was ridiculous. I
don't know how you did it. If I didn't know you, I would have swore you had a bot playing and cheated.
It was just an embarrassment of riches, and then I got an extra turn is what happened. Like I had a big turn and then an extra turn because of
Everything
something.
lined up.
Yeah,
It was like, yeah.
it was
Oh my.
you know what? Everything that happens to you, Tony, happens to me from Jacobson. He always
Oh,
he destroys me all the time in that game for whatever. They're like the luckiest. Him and Rob are like the luckiest people I've ever seen. And then when my luck switches on you, I'm like, whew, poor Tony.
yeah. Hey,
I see
Sharks of
Marty's
Infinity,
losing it.
join
He's
up.
losing interest in the Ascension talk.
Yeah, no, that's cool. At least got some board game talking here. Tony and I are playing Shards of Infinity right now. We and him are.
You know what? Every time I log on, I'm like, hey, Marty's playing Shards again. So I was wondering who you were playing with in there. I can't
Us
stop
and
playing stupid.
Atticus, Kent Parker, our buddy. He always decimates me.
Yeah, Kent's good. Somebody said, have y'all seen Tenet? Sorry.
No.
I haven't seen Tenet yet. Chris wants me to watch it so we can talk about it on the show because he absolutely loves it. And David was saying he wants to talk about it too, but I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
No,
I actually asked David if he wanted to come on and talk about Wonder Woman night, and he said no. So
he's saving it to yell at me about.
Because he really did not like it at all.
No, I know him and Rob both hated it. So this will be, not to spoil our next show, but it'll be interesting to hear what direction we go in. I'll have to take some of your expertise in talking here, and oh god, it's going to be interesting. And we got to try to do it. You know, our shows are famous for the reviews being longer than the movie itself. If we talk about Wonder Woman for 2 hours and 30 minutes, it'll be way too much for me to even talk about Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
All
right. So, gentlemen, yep. So, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And like I said, maybe we'll do this again sometime. I was wanting to simulcast this on 2 channels to see how they both did. We got people watching on both, actually more on Twitch, which is kind of interesting. So, thanks everybody for watching. And by the way, if you're listening to our podcast, know that we're having a big contest right now. So go listen to our latest episode. We're giving away a lot of prizes, and so go listen to that. And Tony and I met Tony a message a couple days ago when you want to get together this week in game, and you never responded, Tony. So
my slate is full, but we'll talk.
Because you keep sending messages to his iPad.
Yeah, well, yeah, except for the fact that he told me, I'm good after Christmas. I'm available.
It's a cluster around here. It's a cluster.
Yeah, and we're supposed to record next Monday for our next episode, and we don't have to.
We might be pushing that one, big boy.
We've already pushed it once.
No, we always take time off. We
did take time off. We were supposed to record tonight. Tonight's our missing night.
What's one more night?
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord.
All right. So, Dan, you said you played Dune Imperium. You really enjoyed it, huh? That's the last game that you played?
Oh, my God. I love Dune Imperium. It was real good. And so we had a little game day today. I played Tungaroo, Dune Imperium, Cubitos, and Lost Ruins of Arnak. And I loved every one of them, except I don't think Tungaroo is a 2-player game. I think it shines at 4. But, man, Dune Imperium was really, really good. I usually don't like dummy players.
Over Lost Ruins?
Oh, no. I don't think it's better than Lost Ruins.
Okay.
That's going to be a hard one. I have to really think about that because Lost Ruins is really good, and I love it solo as well. The one thing that Dune does that I don't like is it has a dummy player for 1 and 2 players. It has a dummy player that you need to play that just kind of gets in your way, and I'm not sure I like that with 2. But it played fine, played fantastic. But it's probably another one that's really suited for 3 or 4 players as well. But I dug it quite a bit.
Tony, we need to get together and play some games because you noticed part of my Secret Santa back there is Thunder Alley. Got to play sometime. Rio Grande just sent this, which I know that you'll be interested in.
I can't see it. I don't have the dual stream up, and all I see is your little thick picture.
Well, nice.
It's Southern Rails from Rio Grande Games, so another train game.
Another train game.
Yep. So, and also got your 7 Wonders Duel expansion.
Nice.
Such you may want that.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, Thunder Alley is so good too. So make sure you make time for that.
Gentlemen, thank you again so much. Dan, thank you so much for jumping on. I really wish that you would have us on instead of that Dave and Rob guy. You always have us on. I mean, I can argue with you just as much as they can.
Don't worry. I'm going to hold you to it. So I love having you guys on, and it was an honor to be back with you guys, and I really do miss you guys.
Yeah, same here. And let's hope and pray that we can actually do an actual movie episode again this year. But if not, we'll fill in the gaps with stuff like this between now and then. All right, Dan, where can people find you, man?
You can check me out. You can find me at the Geek All Stars podcast, or you can find me on Twitter at Geek Jock Blog. I need to change that one of these days, but I can't get Geek Jock, can't get anything like that. But you can find me at Geek Jock Blog. Just send me any other questions or how much you liked or disliked Wonder Woman is fine. But yeah, check out the next show. We'll be talking about Wonder Woman again and The Mandalorian. So that's it. Thanks, boys.
All right, thanks, guys. Tony, got anything?
Nah.
Jeez. All right. All right. Good night, everybody.